He lost his leg serving his country. At the airport, he lost something else, until one man quietly gave it back. "Excuse me, sir. Are you flying alone today?" The voice came from behind the Delta counter. The agent, red curls, tired eyes, asked it like a habit, not a question. It was barely 5:30 a.m. at Jefferson Field Airport in Arkansas. Even the fluorescent lights looked like they weren't fully awake. Franklin D. Cole, retired Army Staff Sergeant, nodded once. "Yes, ma'am." He slid his worn military ID across the counter. The agent glanced at it, then at him. He stood tall, 6'2" if the leg had stayed, with the quiet presence of a man who'd led others through fire without needing to shout. But the click in his left step spoke louder than any salute. Not quite man. Not quite machine. "Thank you for your service," she said, already handing back the card. It sounded like a box checked. "A reflex." "Always," Franklin replied, folding it back into his wallet. "Muscle memory." Nothing more. His duffel bag. Faded, canvas, stitched scars had followed him through Kandahar, Walter Reed, and the long quiet after. No name tag, no medals, just weight. The intercom crackled overhead. "Now boarding for Dallas and Phoenix, gate C-19. Still time." The TSA line coiled ahead. A toddler screamed. A businessman yelled into a Bluetooth earpiece. Franklin stood, in between, quiet, still, invisible. Except for the leg. The carbon fiber limb always drew attention. Some stared. Some whispered. One woman angled her phone like she was texting. She wasn't. He adjusted the strap on his shoulder. The duffel pressed into his back. The prosthetic buzzed gently against his thigh. He was next. That's when he saw him, Bradley Corbin, TSA agent, mid-20s, buzz cut. Too much swagger, not enough experience. Franklin had known his kind, men who barked orders louder when they felt smaller. Not cruel, just craving importance. "Step forward," Corbin called. Out, not looking, not caring. Franklin stepped through the scanner. Beep. "Again," Corbin said, smirking. "Back up." Franklin did. Beep. Corbin grinned wider. "There it is. Robot leg. Terminator, huh?" Heads turned. No one laughed. Franklin's voice stayed level. "Combat injury. Kandahar. 07. Corbin shrugged. "Still got to check. Policy." He tapped his walkie. "Supervisor to lane 4. Got a bionic vet with a hot leg." The line froze. A woman clutched her coffee. A boy pulled his hoodie down over his face. No one spoke. No one helped. Franklin didn't expect them to. He wasn't looking for pity. He was looking for recognition. He didn't find it. Corbin leaned on the podium like it was his porch. "Steel? Carbon? You got clearance? Or do we take this thing off?" Franklin didn't blink. "Below knee, IED." Corbin's grin faltered, just a little. Then, "What's the issue here?" Voice sharp. "Commanding, Marcia Reddick." Mid-50s, gray streak in her bun. Badge said supervisor. Eyes said no patience for nonsense. "Metal leg," Corbin said. "Just doing protocol." Franklin lifted his pant leg. The matte black carbon fiber. Caught no light. No glamour. Just function. Reddick didn't look at the leg. She looked at his face. "You serve?" 8 active, 5 reserve. She nodded slowly. "We'll do a manual pat-down, sir. Won't take long." Corbin opened his mouth. She shut it with a look. Inside the blue partition, her voice softened. "Apologies. Some folks forget what respect looks like before sunrise." "No need to apologize for him," Franklin said. She nodded. Then began. Hands efficient. Respectful. Franklin didn't flinch. Not from the touch, not from the memory, not from the sting, because pain fades. But dignity? Dignity doesn't beg to be seen. It just walks forward, and just beyond that checkpoint, someone else was watching. Franklin didn't need to say a word. The checkpoint had already said it all for him. No one clapped, no one stepped in. But they all saw. And that kind of silence? It stays. He boarded the terminal tram. Half full. Flight attendants swapping yawns, ground crew scrolling through phones, a mechanic in overalls with grease on his hands. Franklin sat in the back, stretched his leg. The ache behind his knee told him rain was coming. The man beside him leaned over. "That dude at TSA?" he said, voice low. "Out of line." Franklin looked sideways. "You served?" "Navy," the man nodded. "My old man lost a leg in Desert Storm." Franklin returned the nod. Not agreement. Understanding. "Respect to your father." The man bumped knuckles gently against Franklin's shoulder. Nothing loud, nothing performative, just real. "Welcome home." It meant more than all the awkward thank yous combined. The tram slowed. Terminal B. Franklin stood. His duffel strap creaked. The frayed threads curled like old scar tissue, but still held. Gate B12 buzzed with tired urgency. Coffee cups, roller bags. Faces buried in phones. He found a seat by the air vent, drafty, but space for his leg. Then, he heard it. "Yeah, I was just doing my job." Corbin's voice, far, but not far enough. Leaning on the desk at gate B9, talking to another TSA agent. Louder now, more confident with backup. "You'd think losing a leg gives you a free pass," he muttered. Franklin didn't turn, but every nerve did. He'd heard that line before, on different continents, in different uniforms. It always stung the same. Across from him, a woman looked up. She saw Franklin. She heard Corbin. Then she stood, walked up to the counter, said something, quietly. Looked back once, not with defiance, with decency. Franklin exhaled. He didn't need people to fight for him. He just needed to know they still existed. Flight announcement. Memphis now boarding, rows 20 through 35. People rose like ghosts, heads down, earbuds in. The airport moved, but no one looked up. Franklin reached into his duffel, pulled out a granola bar, half-torn wrapper. Old habit. Always keep something to get through the wait. And the wait. Then, a flicker. A man in a crisp pilot uniform, coffee in hand, eyes locked on Franklin. He wasn't staring. He was recognizing, like seeing a brother in arms you'd never met, but somehow always knew. Silver crew cut, square jaw, shoulders that hadn't slouched in decades. "You Cole?" he asked. Franklin stood, stiff but steady. "Yes, sir." The man extended a hand, firm, direct. "Captain James Kravitz. Flying your route today." They shook. "I saw what happened back there," Kravitz said. "That kid's lucky you didn't." "Embarrass him." Franklin half smiled. "Wouldn't change much." "Maybe not for him," Kravitz replied. "But it says everything about you." He glanced left, lowered his voice. "You mind walking with me a sec?" They stepped away from the gate. They walked in silence. Not awkward, earned. The kind of silence shared by men who've seen too much and don't need to prove anything. Captain Kravitz led with calm purpose, coffee in one hand, quiet authority in the other. Franklin matched. His stride, the click of his prosthetic leg marking each step like punctuation. They stopped near a pillar, just out of earshot from the crowd. "Look," Kravitz said, voice low but steady. "I can't fix what happened back there, but I can make sure your next hour feels like someone noticed." Franklin didn't answer right away. He'd heard apologies before, some hollow, some heartfelt. But this wasn't apology. This was acknowledgement. Kravitz pulled a folded boarding pass from his jacket pocket, scribbled something on it, and walked over to the gate agent. A few keystrokes, a quiet nod, a new ticket printed. He handed it to Franklin. "Hey, right window." Franklin looked at it. "First class. I didn't ask for this." "You didn't have to." A pause. "Most people think rank is about barking orders," Kravitz said. "But real rank? It's about who you stand for when no one's watching." Their eyes met. No pity, just respect. The boarding chime rang. Delta Flight 407 now boarding first class, rows 1 through 3. Franklin tightened his grip on the ticket. It felt heavier than paper, like it carried something more than a seat. Like it carried everything he'd walked through to get there. He nodded. "Thank you, Captain." Kravitz returned the nod. "We look after our own." Franklin stepped forward. He passed gate B9. Corbin stood nearby, clipboard in hand, still pretending, still stiff. Their eyes met, briefly. Corbin looked away. Didn't nod, didn't speak, didn't even try to smile, and that, Franklin thought, was the first honest thing the man had done all day. Franklin didn't stop. Didn't slow, because some men fall silent when they lose power. Others walk taller because they never needed it. The jet bridge buzzed with quiet. Cool air brushed his skin. A flight attendant greeted him. "Right this way, Mr. Cole." Seat 2A was wide, clean, waiting. A small bottle of water on the tray table. He sat, stretched his leg, exhaled. Not relief, not pride, just stillness. Across the aisle, a man in a suit glanced over, confused, then looked away. Franklin didn't mind. He wasn't there to be understood. He reached into his duffel, ran his hand over the worn edge. Faded canvas, Kandahar dust in the seams. In his chest, something echoed, not pain, just memory. And in that seat, thousands of feet above the noise, he didn't need to explain. He was seen, and for a man who'd once bled into the sand just to stand again, that was enough. The plane rose. So did the memory. Franklin sat still in seat 2A, but his mind had already gone back, beyond the clouds, back to dust. Kandahar, 2007, Camp Nathan Smith baked under 110-degree heat. But heat wasn't a number. It was weight in your chest, in your breath, in the way your gear clung like it wanted to quit before you did. Franklin remembered the laughter first. His squad, leaning against sandbags, trading bad coffee and worse jokes. One guy betting he could outrun Franklin in PT. Another bragging about a girl back home. It felt like forever ago. Then, boom, no warning. No flash. Just the earth folding in on itself. An IED. He didn't remember the flying. Just the landing. Hard. Wrong. Then came the ringing. Then the screaming. Then nothing. That silence. Like the world stepped back to let you feel what just changed. He tried to move, looked down, smoke, metal. His leg, what was left of it, wasn't his anymore. And in that moment, bleeding into the sand, half blinded and half broken, he made himself a promise. If I get up, I won't waste it. He didn't whisper it to God, not to country, just to himself. He woke up 3 days later in Germany, bandaged, tubed, the space below his knee gone. The doctor was gentle. You won't run again. Franklin nodded, not because he accepted it, because running was never the point. Walking forward was. He blinked. The clouds outside the plane were quiet, soft, white like bone dust. He reached down, adjusted the prosthetic strap. Muscle memory now. Click. Secure. Across the aisle, a woman looked over. Not staring, not pitying, just seeing. She offered a soft smile. Thank you for your service, she said. Franklin nodded, then added, thank you for noticing. Because sometimes, the greatest honor isn't in medals or parades. It's in being seen without asking to be. Chime overhead, seatbelt sign-off. The cabin exhaled. Franklin tapped his duffel bag with the toe of his boot. The same bag that had followed him through fire, rehab, silence. It wasn't just carrying clothes. It was carrying everything he never said out loud. A flight attendant leaned in. Anything to drink, Mr. Cole? He smiled. Lemon water. Cold if you got it. She nodded, disappeared, and as Franklin leaned back, legs stretched, scars quiet, he remembered the promise in the sand and knew he was still keeping it. The plane touched down in Atlanta with a soft jolt. As it taxied toward the terminal, the ISO cabin stirred, the unspoken ritual of return. Phones lit up, seatbelts clicked. Bags shuffled at feet. Franklin stayed seated, not because he had to, because life had taught him. The loudest don't always get there first. Sometimes they just leave earlier. A few rows back, a woman leaned toward her husband. Was that him? The guy from security? He heard it, didn't react. Just reached beneath his seat, grabbed the duffel and laid it on his lap, like armor. The aisle began to move. Franklin rose slowly, letting others pass. No rush, just presence. And then he saw him, Corbin, clipboard in hand, pretending to check something, eyes darting, posture stiff, overcompensating for something Franklin no longer needed to name. Their eyes met. Corbin looked away, mumbled into his radio. Didn't even fake a greeting. And that, Franklin thought, was the most honest moment the man had offered. He didn't smile. Didn't gloat. He just walked, past the jet bridge, past the one who tried to shrink him. Because some battles, you win by not picking them up. The terminal buzzed. Calls, wheels, reunions. But to Franklin, it blurred, until, "Sir?" A voice. A boy, maybe 10, eyes wide, unsure. "Are you a soldier?" Franklin paused, then knelt, slowly. The click of his prosthetic leg like punctuation. "I was," the boy pointed. "That your robot leg?" The mother gasped. "Marcus!" But Franklin raised a hand. "Not a robot, just a helper." He smiled, gently. "Reminds me where I've been." The boy nodded, serious. "Did it hurt?" Franklin looked at him a moment. "Some things do. But hurting isn't the same as stopping." The mother's voice softened. "Thank you, truly." Franklin stood. "Take care of him," he said. "Looks like he sees more than most." She nodded. "He does." Down the escalator, into baggage claim. He hadn't checked a bag. Old habit. He liked the quiet down there. The hum of conveyor belts. The hush of waiting. 15 minutes to himself. To feel the ache settle in his leg. To feel the day settle in his bones. Then headlights. A dusty silver Camry pulled up. No flags. No stickers. Just Reggie. "First class, huh?" His old friend grinned. "Champagne or just fancy peanuts?" Franklin smirked. "Just water and legroom, but I'll take it." They drove in silence a while. Then Reggie said, "You ever think about writing it down?" Franklin looked at his reflection in the window. "I might." That night, home again. Porch swing creaking behind him. Old photo of his unit on the desk. He opened a notebook, took a breath, picked up a pen, then wrote 4 words, "You ain't got to march." Paused, then added one more line beneath, "Just never forget how to stand. Thank you for watching. You didn't just view a story, you honored a man, and that means everything to us." Subscribe to Stories Unseen to help us keep telling the stories the world too often forgets.